Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of Stags in the Studio of the 2024-2025 school year. My name is Logan Rundy, your Assistant Sports Director here at Fairfield University. All the way on the other side of the table, Sports Director Andrew Jamison. Today's guest was an All-State player in high school, a two-time All-League honoree at Fayetteville Manilius High School in New York. He averaged 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in his 2021-2022 campaign. A 3-year captain and a 4-year letterman on the men's basketball team as well. Luke chose Fairfield as just a general student and chose to be a manager during his freshman year, and then last year during his sophomore campaign was able to walk on to Fairfield's men's basketball team. Luke's a part of the No Empty Seats nonprofit organization. No Empty Seats is a nonprofit organization that, quote, breaks the stigma behind mental illness, encourages showing unconditional love to friends and family. The organization raised over $10,000 towards the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The organization was started by Michael Ouyang in 2021 to raise awareness towards the mental health initiative. Our guest today has been a consistent advocate for this company and all of the good causes that it has. The link to No Empty Seats will be in this description. Please feel free to donate at any time. When Davidson is on the basketball floor, he's a reassuring voice for all of his teammates. His consistent leadership and positive thinking allows for all the people around him to stay focused at the task at hand. He is always the first one off the bench to motivate and applaud his teammates for all the great work they're doing on the floor. Our guest today is truly one of the most positive people here at Fairfield, and his impact is much deeper than the game of basketball. Today's guest is none other than Luke Davidson. Luke, welcome to our studio.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So obviously the walk-on story is one of the highlights. You're our first walk-off ever in this studio, so congratulations for that. And kind of take me through going from student manager to walk-on during your kind of the transition between your first and second year.
Yeah, sure. When I was deciding what school I wanted to go to, I always knew that basketball was going to be a part of what I wanted to do. It was just a matter of finding the right fit in the right school in the right spot for me. So I really focused with my parents on breaking schools down into criteria that I was interested in. I knew that I wanted to be a little bit away from home at a state. I wanted a decent size, and my faith's really important to me. So coming to a Catholic school, a Jesuit school is really important. So I knew that those were things that I wanted, and I didn't want to compromise them because I knew that I was going to find a way to make basketball a part of my life because I love it, and that's just what I do. So I came here, and I had previous conversations with the coaches. I came and saw a practice my senior year of high school. I discussed walking on with them, and they let me know that they had 3 walk-ons coming the next year and that I wouldn't be able to have a spot that year, but 2 of them were graduating, and I could come in as a manager, and they could find a role for me, and if it was still in the cards and I could try to earn it, they gave me that opportunity, and I ran with it. And so I made the team for sophomore year, and it's been awesome. Yeah,
everyone loves a walk-on story. You know, like we all see scholarship stories like the walk-on scholarships. I want to know, how did you find out that you made the roster? Like, what was that moment like?
So I was at home. It was in June. It was early June, and I was working out, and I was just like I was in the weight room, and I was in the middle of working out, and I looked down at my phone, and it was me and my roommate, one of my buddies who did sort of the similar thing, Ryan, and it was us in a group chat with one of our assistant coaches letting us know that we were on the team, and I basically threw my phone across the weight room kind of thing. It was something.
Yeah, what's it been like? You know, now you're immersed in the team. We're a huge part. We do broadcasting for the university, so we're a huge part. I was there the other night when you had your career high. That was super cool. Got a floater in the lane for his 2-point shot, and then it hit a straight-on 3-pointer for that 3-point shot. So what is it like being around this team? It just looks like a lot of fun. Coach Casey is one of the best coaches in this conference. So kind of just talk about what it's like playing for them.
Yeah, Case is one of the best genuine people on this campus in this world that I've had the pleasure of meeting. He is our first advocate. He is the best I've seen at taking basketball and making it not about basketball and just making it about our lives and about growing up as men and about taking all the things that we're learning and feeling and experiencing and translating them to our lives and seeing it in the bigger picture and trying to get the most out of us and staying positive. So when that's the coach, and my job is to bring energy, to lead, to be ready to go all the time, I can emulate what he's doing. And he's not asking for anything other than my attention, my focus, my energy, my effort. And those are all things that I know that I can control. So he's the best to play for. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of work. And there is no stopping. It is all go. But when you love it like I love it, it's awesome.
I had the opportunity actually to talk to Jalen Leach last year alongside Max Berman, the former WVOF sports director, and I think one thing that he was big on was preaching positivity. And
100%.
You guys got off to a 1-6 start. However, you're at the forefront of keeping vibes high. From what I see, the big energy guy. How do you embrace this role? Why be the guy to uplift everybody?
So I don't know if either of you have seen it. There's a great video of Jay Billis, I think it was last year maybe, or 2 years ago, talking to the Duke team. Coach Shire brought him in, and he was talking to the Duke team, and he was talking about how a role is not a limitation, is what he kept preaching to them. A role is not a limitation. You only put limitations on yourself. A role is what your team needs from you to win. And so I love winning, and I really hate losing more than I love winning, but I hate losing. So just doing what I can do to affect winning is all that I'm about, whether it's getting in there and needing to play valuable minutes, or whether it's knowing the ins and outs of scout team and what we're learning and what we're trying to do in practice every day. What I can do to impact winning is all that I want to do, and I know that I can control it even when I'm not out there, with my energy, with my effort, with my positivity, with knowing what I see and trying to help my teammates to the best of my ability.
Obviously, we've mentioned you're a student manager. How did being a student manager kind of prepare you, and if any way, for the transition as a player? Was there better insight? You had basically a little bit of both behind the scenes things. You had a better understanding and appreciation of the game, or something like that?
I understood a lot of the behind the scenes things that comes. Managers do a lot of, similar to walk on, but different, do a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the behind the scenes work. So understanding that part was important, and also just being there, being in the gym. I love the game, and I'm a student of the game, so picking up terminology really quick, picking up what we're doing on offense and defense, sets, schemes, other teams, things like that. So it really deepened my own basketball knowledge, because you get out what you put into it. So I knew that as much as I go all in, I can keep learning and keep growing.
Yeah, we talk about going all in on the basketball court, but I kind of want to just turn the page a little bit to the new No Empty Seats campaign. I know you've been a part of that. I see you have the bracelet on right now. Just kind of talk me through, how did you get involved with that? How did you get it started? I know Michael Uyang, he was a student up in upstate New York. I don't know if you're around that area, but just kind of talk me through how that started.
Yeah, so Mikey and I have been friends since Little League Baseball, I think, when we were in 4th and 5th grade. I went to a different middle school than he did, and then we came back together, and we were together in the high school. And he's one of my best friends, one of the most dependable people I have ever met, just a show-up guy. He's always going to show up. So Mikey, based on his own struggles and his own issues, and a lot of the issues that we were seeing at our school, he knew that there needed to be change, and that we needed to start a conversation, and we needed to be okay with talking about mental health, because it can get really dark. And a lot of that was coming around COVID, and people were separated, and everything was out of routine and out of rhythm. So I think that everyone felt like we were kind of missing something. It was time to step up, and he has done a great job stepping up. He's done a great job implementing it at Brown and getting outreach and reaching a bunch of people. So yeah.
The partnership, obviously there have been trends within college basketball, including NIL, and it's awesome to see you guys using your platform to do great things off the court in addition to on the court. Does the No Empty Seats partnership give you a greater appreciation of the game?
Yeah, I think so, because I know that even as a walk-on, even as with the different role that I came from, I still have a platform here on campus. I still have a platform when I'm in the arena and when we're out there, and anything that I can do to advocate for people who have been right there by my side, and to advocate for something that I believe in, I think is important. And I'm not asking for anything crazy. I don't think I'm not asking for $1,000 from every person that's in the stands. I'm asking for people to be aware and to listen and to be ready to give somebody a hug when they need it, and just spread love. And I think that if we can spread that love, that positivity, it's the same thing that we're doing on the court in practice every day, trying to stay positive, right? Stay positive and grow and keep leading and keep working and stuff like that. It's the same idea. You got to stay positive, keep loving, keep finding a way to get on through and to help the people along you.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. When we talk about NIL, especially with, at the larger schools and larger athletes like, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and we talk all about the money. And I think what the actual cause and initiative behind that is way more important than any financial compensation that you can ever receive. So when I was reading about No Empty Seats a couple nights ago, I was truly impressed in how you guys have handled yourself. And really, it's just you guys want to be a helping hand, and I can't commend you guys enough for that. And in terms of your psychology major, from what I understand, is that something you want to do in the future? Do you want to work nonprofit? Do you want to work in helping people? Like, what do you want to do when your basketball career is all said and done?
So I have actually added a double major now. So I'm a sports business and psychology major. I want to eventually be an athletic director. I know that I want to get into coaching when I'm done playing and stay around the game, and then eventually work up and work in athletic administration, which is a little bit different, but I think in the same way I can have the same impacts and having the same focus, and having both sides of that coin, the business side and the psychology side, I think are really important. I think that understanding people, the psychology part, understanding people, understanding groups, understanding how we learn, understanding how we receive things is incredibly important, as much as the business side with the fundraising and the dealing with the management and all that thing. So I think that having both sides of that coin is very valuable, and especially on this topic. If I'm an athletic director, how can I implement mental health resources and making sure that everybody's on board in my department, in my program?
Basketball has obviously been a main thing in your life, has been like a go-to. When did you realize that you kind of wanted to, I know you recently declared the sports business major. What kind of sparked that passion? Like, was it recently, or was it just something that has always been with you?
Yeah, it's something that had always been with me. I was kind of dancing around it almost. Like, I had started doing some classes in the business school. It was all just about how I was going to make it work. I thought about using like the create your own major element to kind of like throw them together, and then I figured out that if I grinded through a couple of busy semesters that I could just get both majors, and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, let's throw that on there.
And is there anyone within athletic department and administration that you've looked up to and have had meaningful conversations with, which have even fueled that passion further?
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Slickman is amazing. I've talked with Zach Dayton many times. I'm doing some internship work with Zach. It's a little bit busy now that we're in season, but before and after, I'm doing some internship work with Zach and Sarah Ratchford, and getting involved on game day production and seeing kind of the behind the scenes of when you're not playing and how to really make this thing go. So yeah, it's been awesome. Our athletic department is great, and it's been awesome to be hands-on.
Yeah, I think I've seen you in the control room sitting in those
Absolutely.
games. So I think that's something that's really cool, that gives us a resource for our student athletes to even be involved just as a normal student. I think that's one of the beauties of Fairfield. And it's not, student athletes is not just your life. The word student is because you were a student first here at Fairfield. And it kind of talked me through that. How is that adjustment going from, just a student manager and really just focusing on classes? I understand you guys do some of the behind the scenes work and all that, and then going from an athlete that's consistently going to practice, going to games, and still having to balance classes and a little bit of fun on the side as well.
Yeah, so it works for me. It really does work for me. I'm a very organized and schedule and routine-oriented person, which I think is part of why it works for me. Our days are very scheduled. Our practice block is 9 to 1, so we're not really supposed to take classes in that range. So 8 a.m.s are dicey. You can sometimes get away with it if you really have to. So really, I'm only taking classes from 2 o'clock to night. So it's more turbos, it's some night classes. It's also making up the work on the side. We just had our trip to Rhode Island and then Georgetown and then New Hampshire. So I missed 5 of the last 6 class days. So after this podcast, I'm going to make up an exam. So that'll be dandy.
We appreciate the time nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, no, it's definitely a balance. And it ties right back into what we were talking about before, and how mental health is important and continuing to take care of yourself is important. And I think that I can really lean on my resources and also lean on my faith. It always gives me an area where I can come back to and, know that God's got my back, and that I'm going to be in the positions that he believes are best for me and are part of his plan. And I know that I just have to keep my head down and keep working and keep getting on through. So I love it. It's everything about it I know is what I want, which I think is what makes it a lot easier. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you really love something, go for it. And I think a couple weeks ago when Katie Lamro and Coach Erica Brown were in the studio, don't let anybody stop you from following your dreams. If you want to do this, do that for the young people out there, please go for it. I think what me and Andrew are doing, we're living our dream out right now.
Yeah.
Of just being able to interview people like you and to hear your story and your initiative. So for the young people out there, follow Luke's example, do it, follow your dream, be that walk-on, be that motivating spark. So, Andrew?
And you mentioned, like, it's weird being on the other side of things now. There's a walk-on on this team right now, Tanner Ostop. And I work intramurals, and I see him ball out in A-League basketball and club basketball, for that matter of fact. So how is it? I just want to know from your perspective, not being the only walk-on the team now, you can share that experience with someone else.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And Tanner reached out to me about getting involved with No Empty Seats. I didn't initiate that conversation at all. He came up to me and said, hey, is there anything I can do to get involved with this? And I said, absolutely, that's amazing. So it's been great. I love Tanner. It's awesome having Tanner on board this year, and he helps out. And I think that he's learning on the go too. He's doing the same thing that I did last year. It's the same part where, like, now you're learning the travel, you're learning the routine, you're learning how your value in your role, as we were talking about before, where a role is not a limitation. It's what your team needs from you to win. And he's finding out his role and how he can help us win. And he's doing a great job. And it's awesome to have him on board on the team and on No Empty Seats.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of guys still trying to figure out their role, and that goes kind of like the roster overhaul in a sense.
Absolutely.
10 guys new on the roster, 18 total. What have you guys, we'll get into a little bit deeper as the interview progresses, but what was it like on that first day of training when, more than half the roster was new and chemistry is still there between the returners, but obviously there is still a lot to be built?
Yeah, the first day of training, I would say, was definitely a feeling out process. So we moved back into school on June 16th, and we start workouts on the 17th. So we had workouts, and we were here over the summer, June 17th to August 9th. So that was kind of our first taste of being together, our first taste of working out and practicing and being together and growing. And we didn't have Jamie Bergens, who's a grad transfer from Drexel. He was over in the Netherlands trying to qualify for the Olympics with his national team. So, I mean, that's another guy. He's a captain now, like he's a grad student. So that was another key piece that wasn't there. So, it's all about growing. And as much as everybody wants to win all the games in November, we understand that we have to be peaking in February. We have to be peaking and playing our best basketball in February and March. So as guys continue to come into their roles and continue to grow and learn, we're just getting better and better. And we're only about, and Coach Casey tells us this every day, we're only about 50% of what we're going to be. We're just going to keep growing. We're going to keep getting better. We're going to keep learning about each other and how to play together and continue to get towards that MAC championship.
And I think even if that's 50%, we saw you guys dominate against John Jay Friday night, and there was a moment, all 5 of the players on the floor were not here last year, and the chemistry looked unmatched. You guys were passing, communicating. I was impressed on the fast break. You guys were excellent on the fast break that night, and we talked about it in the pregame of if you guys can get on the fast break, you guys are going to do really well, and that's what ended up happening. So, again, if you guys are at 50%, we're excited to see when we go to the MAC tournament in March where you guys are going to be at like 100, 110%. So,
Absolutely.
Just kind of talk about that, though. That month and a half, how is the evolution from what Andrew was saying the first day to August 8th before you guys all go your separate ways?
Yeah, so much progress happens in that time, as much as any month and a half time frame I think we will really get, because with all the new players and we're starting from scratch, right? We're starting over, base offense, base defense, going through everything. So and in my role as a leader and as one of those returners and as a vocal guy, like I felt that my role was different from my first summer to my second summer in terms of helping Case and giving us an extra set of eyes and an extra voice and an extra teacher. So I know that was part of my role at least. And yeah, we made great strides from the second week of June until the first week of August. We got a lot closer as a team, doing some team bonding things, going to Coach Casey's for dinner, going to Great Adventure and water parks and just doing everything together. I mean, there's no one here. There's no one on campus. It's just your teammates. It's just you and the guys.
Sometimes those seem like the best times.
Those are sometimes the best times, right? Like you're going to the movies, you're getting food together all the time. So you really learn about each other, you grow, and I think that's what shows up on the court and on those things that you guys are seeing.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the chemistry looked undeniable. We praise depth all across Fairfield athletic sports. The rosters here are incredibly deep, and you see that's a testament to the culture with a lot of fifth-year players returning. Look at women's soccer. They just won the MAC and made the NCAA tournament. How has Coach emphasized and, is there kind of like you can always do more to enhance chemistry?
Yeah, I think so. Coach Casey's always emphasized our body language and our body language to each other and what we are externally showing, because when you waste time reacting or putting your palms up or putting your head down, you're not thinking about the next thing. You're not picking each other up. So our body language, our ability to snap it and end it and go to the next play and be in a huddle and be ready to go. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that he's emphasized, and also just coming every day ready to work, coming to practice with the right attitude, being coachable, being a great teammate, picking each other up. Those are the things that he really emphasizes every day, and I think that shows in who he is and who we are as a team.
I want to talk about some of those new guys real quick. You can tell just the maturity from some of those new guys is undeniable. We watched Isaac the other night, and he was fantastic. Just as a freshman, first time playing at Leo D. Mahoney Arena, he was great on both sides of the ball. Prophet Johnson was excellent. I believe he had 26 or 27.
25 and 13, and the most impressive part, arguably, 10 of 13 shooting.
Yeah, so he was great, and you just felt comfortable. I think when we talked about in the pregame with Kyle Scannell and I, it was like, how are these guys going to react to a packed Leo D. Mahoney Arena on a Friday night? And I think it just gets credit to you guys. And kind of how did you coach them before that game and how that environment is?
Well, we've been dying for a home game. We got our first 3 on the road, and we were so ready to play at home. So I don't think that I had to do too much preparing them for that. They did ask me how I thought the crowd was going to be, and I said it's Friday and it's our first game, so I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, I think that Prophet's played a lot of basketball, and I think that the way that he plays is so beneficial for us because he does so many things that just show up in the stat sheet like that. I mean, he had 6 offensive rebounds. He was flying around the glass. I mean, he's 6'3", 6'4". He can jump out the gym, but I mean, he leads our team in rebounding, and he's doing a great job pushing in transition. And you're right, he is staying efficient and continuing to play together and play with the team. So I mean, he's a great player. He's a heck of an athlete, and I think that he's just going to keep getting better and better for us.
And I know there has been, as we mentioned, the roster overhaul. Are there the points of emphasis within the team and like pregame meetings and practices? Are those things kind of carry over to next season, or have some new ones been added that we should know about?
I think they're all pretty much the same. It's defense. It's doing the little things. It's rebounding like Prophet was doing, and it's guarding the ball and staying in front. It's less about the X's and the O's than what's on the surface. It really, even at this level, it really does just come back to how you do the little things. Are you the first one on the floor? Are you boxing out hard? Are you the first one to get rebounds? Are we taking care of the ball and getting a shot every possession? It's those things that really come back to show up on the scoreboard, and when you look at the tape and you're just like, oh, well, there's 8 points that we probably could have had, but we had 2 turnovers and didn't execute here. So it's less about the X's and the O's and more about our mental focus and doing all the little things.
We talk about what shows up in the stat book all the time, points, rebounds, assists, you name it. But I think what makes you valuable on the floor is the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat book. Andrew and I talk consistently about what you do for a team perspective. You're a player, but you're also so mature that you're honestly a coach in some respects as well. You're a student of the game, like you mentioned earlier, so we can't give you enough credit for that. So in terms of practices, how does that work on a normal basis? What's your role in practice? What are you guys trying to achieve, Monday through Friday and even Saturdays? So run me through what a typical practice is as a team and for you as well.
So a typical practice will usually go around 9:30 to 12, and then we'll lift from 12 to 1. Depending on how close we are to a game, we could do film before and after. If practice is the day after a game, we could do film from the game before, or if the game is the next day, we can do film after practice, like preparing. So that's generally like the structure, I would say. And then everyday practice is a little bit different, but continuing to shoot, continuing to work on our offensive execution. And then for me personally, usually come in before practice and work with our assistant coaches doing some scout team things and preparing for our next opponent and how we want to implement working on that for practice. So it's showing up and being the first one in the gym. It's also the learning and the mental aspect of you're trying to learn other teams' schemes that they work on all summer and all off season in about 25 minutes before a practice. So being able to retain and being able to understand terminology and all those things so that you can execute and be effective in practice really comes down to my role. So yeah, that's generally the structure of our, especially now that we're in season, a lot of prepping and working on us. Case is big about working on us and making sure that we're executing what we're doing and not changing, that we want to work on what we're doing.
You mentioned, despite the roster overhaul, a lot of the staff has been retained and even added. Notably looking here at Taj Benning, who was an alumni of Fairfield class of 2021. You actually had the opportunity to be on the bench with him alongside him your freshman year as a manager. How has these familiar perspectives carried over into your game and enhanced it?
Taj has been awesome. And when we had our coaching change in the fall last year and Taj came in, and he was a perfect guy to bring in because he knows the school, he knows the area, he knows what Fairfield basketball can be and what we needed at that time, and he already had relationships with some of the guys. So I have worked out for countless hours with Taj, both before he was a coach and when he was playing pro in Australia. I was working out with him a bunch when he was here, and then he came back as a coach, and we got right back into it. So just his perspective of having played here, of what it takes to win, I think has been really, really important. And he's also just a really fun guy, which I think is really important. And I think that a lot of our staff has that, where in a long season where everybody's bodies are hurting and you're just going and going and going, having a guy that you can share a laugh with, having a guy that can lighten the mood is really, really important to have in a locker room. So Taj does a great job for us, and it's been awesome to have him on board.
Yeah, we talk all about basketball and your off-the-court work, but I really want to ask, what do you want your long-lasting impact to be? Once you leave Fairfield, what do you want people to remember you for? Is it your attitude, your selflessness, you on the basketball floor scoring points? What do you want it to be?
Ooh, that is a great question. I think I want my hallmark to be consistency. And I think that I try my best to be an everyday guy and to show up every day in practice or every day in walkthrough or every day in lift or at every game and every class with the same mentality, with the same focus, with the same energy. And you're not always going to be 100%. Sometimes your body's going to be hurt and sometimes you're going to be tired. But I think that if you can give 100% of what you have at that moment, I think that that's really what I want my impact to be. But on a deeper level, like, I want that to be my life outside of Fairfield. I want that to be who I am as a son, who I am as a brother, who I am as a grandson, who I am as an employee, who I am as a husband. Like that's who I want to be, is an everyday guy, a consistent guy, someone that you can depend on is going to show up.
It's a great answer. J-Mo.
I guess I'm just going to segue this. Why should we be excited about this team this season? Why should we pack the Red Sea and come to Mahoney?
Well, because we're going to win the MAC championship. That's for starters. We're dialed in and we're focused on doing that. We also have a lot of guys that have fun playing the game. You're going to see guys that are out there. You're going to see guys smiling and having fun and playing hard and competing their tails off. And also because it's an amazing opportunity for you guys, too, to have a great time, to be together, to be with your classmates, to build a really great school atmosphere. And when we continue to build and get this thing right and we're playing great basketball towards the end of the year and we're competing and we're at the top of the league, us and the women's team, it's just going to become second nature at that point, that you show up to the games, that you have a blast, that we're competing hard, that we're winning games. So I think that those are the main things, because it's awesome for the fans too. It's a great place to watch a game. We're going to play hard. We're going to compete for you guys. We're going to be smiling, having fun. So I think that it's just an awesome opportunity top to bottom.
Winning does certainly make anything better, and it makes
Absolutely.
Our job that much more fun on the side and a greater appreciation for what we do, being able to cover Fairfield athletics and the whole journey it is, because it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey and how you get there. And it seems like Fairfield is doing things right, as evident in the front office sports award, where
For sure.
we were awarded along with the Ducks, Tigers, I think, what was it, Clemson, Oregon, and then a few other schools. So that's certainly a huge accomplishment and one that was earned. So,
Sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Luke uses his platform, I'm going to use mine real quick. So for young people that go and watch Fairfield men's basketball, I want you to take a look at what Luke does. What Luke does is intangible. You can't find kind of that atmosphere and what he provides at many schools in this country, okay? Watch him get off the bench. Watch him congratulate his teammates. Watch him lead when he's on the floor. If you're a young basketball player, you will be successful that way. Luke is not only successful on the basketball court, he's successful off the court because he implements everything that he learns and uses his knowledge that he uses on the court and then applies it off the court. You see a lot of one-dimensional people, athletes. Luke is not that guy. So if you're young, even if you're old, you have something to learn from Luke. I've learned, the charisma, the charismatic, and Luke and I just met for the first time today. So again, please take what Luke does on the basketball floor and apply it to your life on your basketball floor and in your just general day-to-day life. I just felt I should say that. Let's talk about the next couple of weeks. Okay, so on to the Naismith Hall of Fame tip-off on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. in Eukinsville, Connecticut. Stags take on Yale at 2:30.
Following beat Yale last year, if I remember.
Yeah.
On Sunday,
they did have a tournament win, though,
Yes,
so
they
that
did.
certainly is going to be a fun one.
On Sunday, November 24th at 1 p.m., University of Vermont Catamounts come to Eukinsville and take on the Stags. Then Fairleigh Dickinson on December 1st, 2 p.m., and then the conference starts with Ryder. On December 4th, that is a Wednesday night, 7 p.m., get it here at Leo D. Mahoney Arena. Luke, if you were to kind of give one message to the people listening and watching, what would that be in terms of, showing up to the arena, supporting the Stags, how to live their life? Piece of advice is for them.
For Fairfield students, I guess my thing is why not try and come to a game? Why if you haven't been to a game, why not give it a shot? Because the Red Sea is amazing, and the Red Sea does a ton of opportunities. Your tickets are free. It's not like you're paying anything. You're getting a ton of whether it's Chick-fil-A coupons or food vouchers. They're trying to give you things. T-shirts, getting opportunities to be on the floor and do games during commercial breaks. The Red Sea is awesome, and they're doing amazing things for the student athletes to try to, or for the fans to try to drive engagement and everything. So give it a chance, because I think that even if you're not the biggest basketball fan, there's something for everyone there. I think that the impact that the fans have on the game is second to none. Us coming out of the tunnel to see it all full of people in there just drives the adrenaline and drives the rush and drives our energy, our focus, because we want to put on a great performance for you guys, and we want to win games for you guys. So you guys help us tremendously. You're invaluable to our success. So come out and give it a shot and see really what the experience is like. And then more general status, I think that there are so many opportunities here and in your life, and you just got to embrace them. And you can't be, Coach Casey tells us this all the time about anything. You can't have 1 foot on the boat and 1 foot on the dock. You just got to jump and get 2 feet in the boat or get 2 feet on the dock. You either got to get all the way out or you got to get all the way in. And I think that if you go all the way in on something that you want, if you go all the way in on something that you love, it will always work out. It'll always work out exactly how it's supposed to and go your way.
J-Mo, any final words?
I think you summed it up perfectly. I think we should leave it on that.
All right, everybody. From myself, Logan Rundy, your assistant sports director here at Fairfield, Andrew Jameson, your sports director, from the incredible Luke Davidson, we wish you all a safe Thanksgiving. We will see you guys in December. If you're a Fairfield student, travel home safely. Luke, good luck this weekend and over the Thanksgiving break with all the games. If you're, anybody going home for the break, enjoy the time with your family, and we'll see you back here in hopefully the first week of December. Have a good night, everybody.